Okay, so this is just an added little extra blog talking about the next unit we're going on to, which it will be a director's challenge when we direct younger students as part of N2C. So to sort of have some preparation and experience when going into that, we had a full day of directing some Shakespeare plays, shorts of some Shakespeare plays, like examples like speed runs and some spoof sort of stories, like ideas of using different themes like TV shows and stuff like that. In terms of teaching young kids about the Shakespeare plays and being able to showcase the idea of Shakespeare plays. This also links with like theatre and education and stuff because it's about trying to teach the Shakespeare plays to students who would obviously need to study them. So in terms of the day and the way it worked, we were put into directing groups. We were already given our plays and we had to research a little bit about them. Originally I was given the play All's Well That Ends Well, but in terms of trying to do a speed run or like a themed piece on it with younger children, it was quite a complicated concept. The play wasn't really well known and the whole ideas behind it were quite difficult to do, so it wouldn't be one that you could really easily do a speed run from because it wouldn't be understandable and it would be hard to sort of teach. So I ended up doing Macbeth with Leah. Obviously knew the story of Macbeth already. It was about trying to figure out some key points that we figured out previous lesson to create a speed run. So we sort of picked almost like 5 main points in the story, and then it's about creating this like speed abstract. It's very much like Brecht in the way that it's done. It's really not serious, it's quite jokey in the way it was done. Like creating like these 5 points and then doing a speed run of the in between, and then those key moments. And then obviously with narration that helps as well. So when doing this, it was mainly the main reason why I'm talking about this is to talk about the directing aspect. When doing about this, we had to establish a good relationship with our cast. We learned that it's good to sort of get to know your cast. It's good to sort of allow them to have contributions, to have this sort of back and forth as they're actors as well. So it's about having them have a lot of creative freedom. By allowing them to have creative freedom as well, you sort of direct them in terms of sort of guiding them, asking questions about that they're doing, maybe altering slight things, but doing as much practical stuff as you can. We initially talked about like the story, the main messages, the points, the ideas of speed runs, whether they'd done that before, and the whole sort of like high energy levels and things like that. But then we just sort of more or less let them go on with it, sort of gave them basic ideas where to stand and things like that, but we all helped devise it all together. And I think when you're directing, it's better to do that rather than like micromanage everything. It's better to like allow them to sort of have some freedom themselves, and then add on to what they're doing or direct it the way you want it. So say for example we had like 3 witches, and you want them to be in a certain position. They are around a cauldron or something, and you want them to be higher up than for a certain reason. If we had more time, we might have thought more deeply into like things like proxemics and stuff like that. So in terms of stuff like that, you might want to think about that, but you let them sort of have this creative freedom of like standing around a cauldron. If they say, oh, maybe I should go over there and say this line, then you can say, yeah, but I want you to say it like this, or I want you to say it further downstage for this reason. And it's about the collaboration, not only the one-sidedness. Obviously you want them to get your intentions across. In terms of this, it wasn't really much about like a deep intention behind it, because it's a lot about to do with like them enjoying it and trying to get across the simplicity of a Shakespeare play. But because these were speed runs, we had to confine it to about 2-3 minutes, and so that was something that we had to sort of push the kids to work a bit faster, to do the whole thing a bit faster, maybe cutting out certain bits and adding in certain other bits that we felt were important and vital to the main message and the flow of the play itself. But other bits like the added little details would be cut to create the condensed versions. So when directing found a lot of things like advantages and disadvantages of what we were doing. We found that collaborating when directing can sometimes be really useful in terms of like getting a second hand like feedback, new like ideas that you've never really thought about. Sometimes though it can be more difficult in terms of trying to collaborate in ideas. If you have conflicting ideas, you want to do things in a certain way, it might set you back in terms of if you don't have the same ideas, and you want things to be done in a certain way, it might not happen because it'll take a lot of time for you to discuss the way you feel it should be and the intentions of what you're both trying to get across. So like that could be something to think about when it comes to the actual director's challenge. Another thing we found is when looking at different directors, especially I found like people like Bruce and Catherine, really like high energy levels and involvement when it came to the casts. So they were really trying to get like a lot of energy and encouragement from them, because in this piece, for it to work, it had to be high energy levels. So they used a lot of like movement, they used a lot of energy and enthusiasm into what they were doing, and this definitely rubbed off onto their casts in their energy levels and what they were doing as well. They just take longer in explaining things as well. I feel like this was good in terms of like it made the kids and the cast have more understanding, but probably took away time from them actually physically doing it, so it was a bit more rushed. But that was everyone in the whole cast, but I think they did really well in getting the high energy levels and the like creative collaboration between the cast and the directors. So overall, from this day and the final performances, we learned that when directing, it's really important to have a clear plan of what you're going to do. So have a certain time where you talk to them about the messages and the way you're going to structure it. Have time dedicated to improvements, but also have time to allow them to have creative freedom. Don't micromanage, and collaborate with them well and treat them with respect, because you want to get the most out of your actors and in their decisions as well, their own choices into the actual piece.